November 17th, 2023, the moment everything changed, Sam Altman gets fired from his own company. The board of OpenAI decides the CEO who built the world's most valuable AI company is too dangerous to lead it. Within hours, the world realizes something startling. One person controls the trillion-dollar AI market. Not a coding genius like Zuckerberg, not a hardware visionary like Jobs, just a college dropout from St. Louis who saw the future. Here's what makes this story remarkable. Altman didn't win through superior technology, he won through superior timing and positioning. While everyone else was building better algorithms, he was building something more powerful, the right organization at the right moment. The privileged outsider, from Stanford dropout to Silicon Valley player. Sam Altman grew up middle class in St. Louis. His mother was a dermatologist, his father a real estate broker. Comfortable, but not Silicon Valley royalty. At 19, he made a decision that would change everything. He dropped out of Stanford to launch Loopt, a location-sharing app, in 2005. This was 2 years before the iPhone existed. Altman was betting on a future where everyone would carry GPS-enabled computers in their pockets. The world wasn't ready, but he was building for tomorrow, not today. Y Combinator accepted Loopt into their very first class. This gave Altman something priceless, early access to Silicon Valley's elite network. While his Stanford classmates were studying, he was learning from the people who actually built the tech industry. For 7 years, Altman struggled with Loopt. The technology worked, but the timing was wrong. People weren't comfortable sharing their location constantly. The infrastructure wasn't there. The behavioral shift hadn't happened yet. In 2012, Loopt finally sold for $43 million. Altman netted about $5 million, becoming a millionaire at 27. Not a massive win, but enough to buy him credibility and independence. Here's where most entrepreneurs would start another company. Altman did something different. He became a partner at Y Combinator, giving him a front row seat to startup patterns. He could see which ideas worked, which failed, and most importantly, why. During this time, Altman started writing essays about AI and automation. Nobody was reading them. This was 2013, 2014. AI was still academic curiosity, not mainstream obsession, but Altman was already thinking about the implications of artificial intelligence on society and economics. At 28, he became president of Y Combinator. Think about this. A college dropout with no traditional tech background now had access to Silicon Valley's most promising startups. He was pattern matching across hundreds of companies, seeing the future before it arrived. By 2015, AI research had hit what experts called an AI winter. Despite billions in investment from Google, Facebook, and others, progress had stalled. The algorithms were getting better, but slowly. The breakthroughs everyone expected weren't happening. Most people saw this as proof that AI was overhyped. Altman saw something different. He realized AI wasn't limited by theory. It was limited by scale and organization. The technical knowledge existed. What was missing was the right structure to apply massive computational resources systematically. This insight would prove worth $1 trillion. While AI researchers were focused on making algorithms more elegant, Altman was thinking about making them more powerful through brute force scaling. It wasn't about being smarter. It was about being bigger and better organized. The traditional AI establishment dismissed this approach as inelegant. Real AI research, they believe, should be about understanding intelligence, not just throwing more computers at the problem. Altman didn't care about elegance. He cared about results. This mindset, focusing on what works rather than what's theoretically beautiful, would define everything that came next. Altman wasn't trying to win the respect of AI researchers. He was trying to build the future. The audacious gamble, building OpenAI against all odds, December 2015. Altman makes an announcement that sounds impossible. He's launching OpenAI as a nonprofit research lab dedicated to ensuring artificial intelligence benefits all of humanity. The backing comes from an unlikely source, Elon Musk, who contributes less than $45 million to get things started. Think about the audacity here. Altman has no AI background. He can't code neural networks. He's never published a machine learning paper. Yet he's assembling one of the most extraordinary AI teams ever created. Ilya Sutskever leaves Google. Greg Brockman leaves Stripe as CTO. World-class researchers abandoned prestigious positions to follow someone who couldn't explain backpropagation. Why did they follow him? Because Altman understood something the technical experts missed. The biggest challenge in AI wasn't technical, it was organizational. How do you coordinate massive computational resources? How do you attract top talent? How do you navigate the politics of breakthrough technology? These weren't coding problems, they were leadership problems. While Google and Facebook were hiring AI researchers to improve their existing products, Altman was building something different, a research lab focused purely on advancing the field, not optimizing ad revenue. This attracted researchers who wanted to work on fundamental problems, not incremental improvements. The first breakthrough came with GPT-1 in 2018. It had 117 million parameters, tiny by today's standards, but revolutionary for its time. The model could generate coherent text after being trained on internet data. More importantly, it proved Altman's core thesis. Scale could produce qualitative leaps in capability. The AI establishment was skeptical. They called it brute force, throwing computational power at problems instead of developing elegant solutions. Academic researchers dismissed it as engineering, not science. They were missing the point entirely. GPT-2 arrived in 2019 with 1.5 billion parameters. The results were so impressive that OpenAI initially refused to release the full model, citing safety concerns. This created massive publicity and established OpenAI as the leader in language AI. Altman had turned caution into marketing genius, but there was a problem. Nonprofit status meant limited funding. Training larger models required exponentially more computational resources. The next breakthrough would cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Nonprofit donations couldn't sustain that level of investment. In 2019, Altman made the controversial decision to restructure OpenAI as a capped profit company. Investors could earn returns, but only up to 100 times their investment. Beyond that, profits would flow to the nonprofit parent organization. This hybrid structure allowed massive investment while maintaining the mission focus. The AI community was outraged. OpenAI had promised to remain nonprofit. Now they were taking venture capital and planning to profit from AI breakthroughs. Critics accused Altman of betraying the original vision. He argued it was the only way to fund the research necessary to achieve the mission. GPT-3 launched in 2020 with 175 billion parameters and capabilities that stunned even its creators. The model could write essays, solve math problems, generate code, and engage in conversations that felt genuinely intelligent. This wasn't just better than previous AI, it was qualitatively different. Here's where Altman's business instincts proved crucial. Instead of keeping GPT-3 internal like Google and Facebook did with their models, OpenAI made it available through an API. Developers could build applications on top of GPT-3 without understanding how it worked. This created an ecosystem of AI-powered applications and established OpenAI as the platform provider. The strategy worked beyond anyone's expectations. When ChatGPT launched in November 2022, it reached 100 million users faster than any application in history. The interface was simple, just a text box where you could talk to AI, but the underlying capability was revolutionary. Microsoft had been watching closely. They invested $1 billion in 2019, then $13 billion more in 2023. This wasn't just investment, it was partnership. Microsoft integrated OpenAI's models into their entire product suite. Office, Windows, Azure, everything got AI capabilities. But success created new tensions. The OpenAI board, still dominated by the nonprofit structure, grew concerned about the pace of development. They worried that Altman was moving too fast, prioritizing commercial success over safety considerations. The board included AI safety researchers who believed artificial general intelligence posed existential risks. November 17, 2023, the board fires Altman, claiming he hadn't been consistently candid in his communications. They don't specify what he'd hidden, but the implication is clear. They believe he's prioritizing growth over safety. The reaction is immediate and overwhelming. OpenAI employees threaten to quit en masse. Microsoft, having invested $14 billion, makes it clear they want Altman back. The venture capital community rallies behind him. Within 5 days, the board reverses course and reinstates Altman as CEO. The crisis revealed something important. OpenAI had become bigger than its board, bigger than any single governance structure. The company had created a flywheel effect. More users generated more data, which trained better models, which attracted more investment, which enabled even larger models. Altman had built something that could survive even his own removal. The organization had momentum independent of any individual. This wasn't just a company, it was a movement that had captured the world's attention and investment. The boy from St. Louis had created the most powerful force in the most important technology of our time. The trillion-dollar transformation, how one vision reshaped everything. The numbers tell the story of how quickly everything changed. Microsoft's market cap increased by over $500 billion in the months following their AI integration announcement. Investors suddenly understood that AI wasn't just another tech trend. It was the foundation for the next generation of computing. The venture capital world went into overdrive. In the 6 months after ChatGPT's launch, investors poured $25 billion into AI startups. Companies that had struggled to raise funding suddenly found themselves in bidding wars. Everyone wanted to build the next AI-powered application. NVIDIA became the biggest winner of all. Their graphics processing units, originally designed for gaming, turned out to be perfect for training AI models. As demand for AI processing exploded, NVIDIA's stock price increased by over 1,000%. They went from a gaming company to the most valuable semiconductor company in the world. McKinsey estimated that AI could add 13 trillion to global economic output by 2030. This wasn't just about better chatbots or smarter search engines. AI was being integrated into healthcare, finance, manufacturing, education, every sector of the economy. The transformation validated Altman's core thesis from the beginning. AI wasn't going to be a collection of narrow tools for specific tasks. It was going to be a general purpose platform that could enhance human capability across every domain. The same model that could write poetry could also analyze medical data, generate code, and solve complex mathematical problems. What surprised even the experts was the speed of adoption. Previous technology revolutions had taken decades to reach mainstream adoption. The internet took 20 years to become essential infrastructure. Smartphones took a decade to become ubiquitous. AI went from academic curiosity to business necessity in less than 2 years. The acceleration happened because AI didn't require new hardware or infrastructure. It could be delivered through existing internet connections to existing devices. The farmer in rural America could access the same AI capabilities as a software engineer in Silicon Valley. The barrier to entry was essentially zero. From privileged dropout to architect of the most valuable technology transformation in history, Sam Altman's journey teaches us something profound about how the biggest wins actually happen. The lesson isn't about coding or engineering or even having the best technology. It's about understanding systems, timing, and having conviction when everyone else thinks you're wrong. Altman succeeded because he believed in something nobody else could see yet. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is trust your vision of the future, even when the present doesn't support it. If you want more stories about people who changed the world by thinking differently, subscribe and join our community of forward-thinking optimists.